der kommt.
Guten Abend.
Guten Abend, Klaus.
Abend. Tonight we are in Parashat Shelach Lecha. I'm just going to post a link to our chat here to an online version of the Zohar. It is important to remember, though, that the version we have here is the version of the Sulam, which comes with kind of extra words in between for explanation or connecting to different Kabbalistic terms. But this is not necessarily only the translation of the Zohar.
Yeah.
I think what I have is actually, the same text. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, שלח לך אנשים ויתורו את ארץ כנען. So this is we're talking about the spies that were sent to the land of Canaan to look after and see what's going on there and how it could be conquered and how the people are there and all that. רבי חייא פתח, המימיך ציווית בוקר, ידעת השחר מקומו, שחר כתיב, היי התרחקה משחר. מה טעמה? אלא אמר רבי יחיא, בשעתא דנתי ערב ושמשה נטה למעל, כדין התחלש תוקפי, כדין שלטה שמאלה, ומשתכח דינה בעלמא והתפשט, וכדין באי תנוע צולעה לכוונה ראותה כמי מראי. Okay, let's try to unpack this. Rabbi Chia opened the discussion saying, have you commanded the morning since your days began and caused day spring to know its place? So that is, of course, a verse from Eov. It is written day spring. So we have in the Bible, we often have in the Tanakh, throughout the Tanakh, we have something that's called Kri and Ktiv. Kri is the way the words are read, and Ktiv are the ways the words are written. So here we read Hashachar, the day spring, but it is written without the Hey. So what the text here is saying, Hey has been far from dawn. The Hey distant itself from dawn. What is the reason? Rabbi Chia said, when the evening shadows lengthen and the sun begins to set, the strength is less powerful. This is when the left rules and judgment prevails and spreads over the world. Then a person is required to pray and direct his desire to his master. Right? If we're talking about in the evening, of course, we know that the sun is less powerful. And this is when the negative powers, which we call often in Kabbalistic texts the left, and then we have judgment. So we have Shalta Smola, the left rules, and the judgment takes over the world. And that is the time when we should pray to kind of balance it out, maybe, and give strength to the positive powers. That's what it seems to be. And this continues. If you're on the website, then you see on the bottom it says next. And then we go to it. Here there's an introduction. Rabbi Yesa describes what happens when night falls and midnight comes. We read a detailed description of the 13 carved letters in the holy name that dominates from midnight onward. Damar Rabbi Yesa. Kad nate shimsha ve'itchalash kedein itpetach chad petichu b'shimsha ve'itkenish chelei usmal shalit ve'yitzchak karei bera techotei. As Rabbi Yesa said, when the sun is about to set and it is losing strength, an aperture in the sun opens, and the sun's power is gathered in, right? Gathering in is like closing in and becoming less. And the left rinds. Yitzchak, Isaac, digs a well underneath it. So, which time of the day are we talking about here? At which point does the sun start to go under? Right? From the morning until noon, the sun is coming up. From noon and further, the sun is starting to go under. And that is the time when we start praying mincha, right? After midday. And who composed the prayer of mincha? Yitzchak. And another thing that Yitzchak did, Yitzchak dug up again the wells that his father dug that were filled up by other people that we have in the Torah. So because the sun is becoming weaker and the strengths of the night are starting to take over, that is the time when Yitzchak, to balance it out, he uses the word, he digs a well underneath it. Underneath this negative power that's coming, he digs a well to overcome this. Kevan de'aha laila, pitka de kutfa be'achmatei shechiach, וכמה חבילים טריקן התפשטו בעלמא, וכולהו שטען בערבוביה ואוזלי וחייכן בנפשן דרשיעיה. ומודיעין לון מילין, מנהון כדיוון ומנהון כשוט, ומן דאשתכח ביניהו, התייהיב לון רשו לחבלה, וכולו בני עלמא נעימין וטעמין טעמה דמותה, when the night falls, the written edicts are in their pockets. Many harmful demons spread out in the world. which all roam around in confusion. They go about and mock at the souls of the wicked and inform them of various matters, some false and some true. If any person is found among them, they are given permission to harm. Everyone is sleeping and tasting the taste of death, as we have already explained. So this is something we have quite often in rabbinic literature, generally talking about demons. The demons in rabbinic literature are, first of all, existing, and they're somewhere in between human and angel, which means they could look like humans in certain places. It's stated that even if they look like humans, they will always have their feet will stay chicken feet, like the feet of a chicken. And that they cannot hide. So when they roam around posing as humans, they will find ways to hide their feet so you can't tell that they're demons. This is actually something interesting. I think I heard it was my grandfather. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor, and he said that Hitler was a demon, and that's the reason why he always wore boots, so that nobody could check his feet.
Oh, yeah.
But according to rabbinic literature, demons exist. Demons are among us, and there are many things that we have to do. For instance, that we sing on Friday evening. We sing Shalom Aleichem, right? We come home after the service. We sing Shalom Aleichem, and we sing that based on the Talmud that tells us that from the way home from the synagogue, two angels accompany us home, walk us home to keep us safe. And why is it so important on Shabbat to have this extra protection? This is because Friday evening is a time of dinim, of judgment, and at that evening we want to be protected from demons or dangerous things that could happen to us during that evening. So, of course, the Zohar is something very mystical, also believes in demons. And we have here more or less an explanation how they function. They could say the truth, they could lie, they're allowed to lie. They're not the angels in the sense of only being holy, that they could only say the truth. Right? We know angels can't lie. Angels can't do any sins because they are only from the positive powers. This is something we have in the discussion between Moshe Rabbeinu and the angels when Moshe is trying to go up, and Moshe is in heaven and there to accept the Torah. And the angels tell God, why are you giving humans this holy scripture? And I mean, they ask first, what is he even doing here in the first place? Why is a human among us? And then God says, well, he's here to pick up the Torah. And then they ask, why are you giving it to them? And Moshe wants to answer them, but he's too frightened to talk to angels. So God tells him, hold on to my chair, and then you could answer them. And then Moshe asks them, he says, what's written in the Torah? In the Torah is written that God took the people out of Egypt from slavery. And he asked the angels, were you enslaved in Egypt? Well, so of course not. And then, of course, he goes through a few more examples of things that are in the Torah that are only between humans. Says you don't have these desires at all. You don't commit these sins. You don't have to be told not to do it. So basically showing that it is for people and it's not for angels, which is actually a very powerful statement in general, in regards to being sinful or having human desires is actually something that does belong to humanity, things that they have to deal with in their day-to-day life. And those are the people that the text is talking to. The Torah is talking to people that have these difficulties and not righteous, pious men that don't have any desire to sin or live a holy life. So of course, the text is supposed to lead us in a way to become better people, or the commandments, or the state of mind, or the thought, or the depth of it is intended to lead us in a more positive way, but it is intended for people that are not there yet. But anyway, so this is how the Zohar sees the demon world, the demon kingdom.
May I ask something?
Of course.
What exactly are demons? I mean, are they like the bad version of like angels, or are they like souls that used to be attached to people and are just like floating around and kind of going weird?
I would say it's a bit of a combination. Because we have, of course, in many different, mainly rabbinical literature, what the powers are and where they come from. Generally, I would say they're kind of like a mix between human and angel, but they come from the angel side and not from the human side. So they're kind of angels that got messed up. Like for instance, where I grew up, we were told that if you, as a man, if you masturbate, then the demons, the female demons, will impregnate themselves through that sperm, create more demons out of it. So it's somewhat a heavenly power that at some point had sex or connected with humans and created this version of human angels. So it's not people that become angels, it's angels that become people. And because they can't become people, they become something in between. So they become this super powerful human, this Superman kind of human that can do a lot of damage and can also be very helpful. We have many stories where demons were used to do things that humans couldn't do. So I would say it's more of a, I mean, we have it right in the beginning of the Torah in Bereshit. We have that the sons of God took themselves women of the earth and married them, right? So that could be a result of demons created through a relationship between angels and humans.
Okay, so they're kind of in between humans and angels.
In between humans and angels, they have the power to appear as humans and mingle within humans. So, like when we look at proper angels, yeah, we have the story of the three angels visiting Avraham Avinu. So first of all, these angels cannot do any damage because they're angels. They're here to save and to rescue and bring good news. They cannot do any damage. But they could still look like humans. And we have this throughout rabbinic literature, stories between certain holy people or holy men talking to angels or communicating with angels in a certain extent. And the connection between, or the discussion between the human and the angel, we have in the Torah as well as real angels. We have the story with Manoach. We have the story with Yaakov fighting an angel. So the demon is not as powerful as the angel. I would say the demon doesn't have the direct contact to God. It's more like the bastard sons of the angels that kind of roam around the world and make a mess. And of course, within these angels, we have more powerful angels, more powerful demons, less powerful demons. We have the famous story between King Solomon and Ashmedai, the famous demon. We know Lilith, of course. We know the Talmud even gives us a recipe how to summon demons. If you take a black cat that was fully black, that is the child of a black cat and a grandchild of a black cat, and you kill it and you burn it, and you take the ashes and put it into a copper pipe, which is closed on both sides, then you will see demons at night. But the Talmud tells us that it's dangerous and you shouldn't do it, because if you're not successful in closing the pipe from both sides really, really strong, then the demons can harm you. So we have this throughout rabbinic literature, this connection to demons, demons going into people. We have that also. But there we have a duality. We have demons going into people, and then we have a dibuk. A dibuk, which was portrayed very, very nicely in Hollywood multiple times. The dibuk is a human soul. So that's a human soul coming into another human after they passed away for whatever reason. Either it's revenge or they're just restless or whatever it is. Yeah, so we have all of these mystical beings in Judaism, yes.
Rabbi Akiva, isn't this called Ibur or something like that?
Dibuk.
No, if a dibuk comes into a human being.
Ibur, yes, Ibur with Ayin, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That Ibur is the Hebrew word for pregnancy. So it's as if the human that the dibuk goes into is being pregnant with the dibuk.
But this can also be for positive purposes. Not?
Well, we have yes and no. Yes, we have the concept of a holy soul being brought into a later generation, other holy soul, and then they somehow connecting. But with that ibur, it seems to be that the impregnation of this previous holy soul is there to empower the person currently living, rather than influencing the way they think, walk, talk, or eat, or whatever.
Okay.
The dibuk is more interfering, and the dibuk is more taking control of the person in a negative way against their will. And this is something that, I mean, even recently, there are always dibuk stories coming up. I've personally participated in one of these ceremonies where some Kabbalist in Israel, in Bnei Brak, was called to take out a dibuk from someone that was possessed by a dibuk. This is a very interesting ritual and a very interesting experience. It was I mean, some of them, you could find some of them online on YouTube, taking out a dibuk. You would often see people laying on the ground and making weird noises, and some rabbis standing on top of them with a shofar and talit or whatever, and yelling and screaming and saying psalms and yelling at the dibuk to go out. And in many cases, they would have a conversation with the dibuk and ask them who they are and what they want and why they decided to possess this specific person. The dibuk, traditionally, according to the videos you would find on YouTube, always have a very, very deep voice, and they sound very weird. You could see a woman, a very famous video where she was supposedly possessed by a dibuk, and the rabbi is having a conversation with the dibuk, and she's talking very, very real.
Akiva, I wanted to ask whether this belief in demons is a special thing of the Jewish world, or whether it is part of a belief of the whole society. I just thought of painters like Hieronymus Bosch or Peter Bruegel. In their pictures of the hell, for example, you find these beings with the chicken feet. That was apparently widespread, this idea of demons who looked like chickens with their feet, for example. Is it possible that it was shared by a bigger community at that time?
The demons are throughout many cultures.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
We have the Christianity and Islam and many ancient cultures, and the demons are basically, like you would say, categorized into two main categories. You have the demons that work for the devil, like his servants, and then you have demons that are independent.
Okay.
Nicht Eingestellte.
Selbstständig. Ja.
Freelancer.
Freelancers, exactly. So the demon that's working for the devil, they have very, very strict rules and very strict instructions. They are only there to carry out punishment that the devil has to inflict on humans. The freelance the demons, they could be bargained with. You could make deals with them.
Oh, okay.
You get something in return. They're not reliable. They're like mafia. You can't trust them. You don't know if they're gonna do what they say, but you can try to bargain with them. But
yes,
I think this is something that most cultures ultimately need. Is this pure evil that exists on the other side of us, the good people. So whether we're sinful or not, we're somewhere as humans, somewhere in between.
Mhm.
And above us, there are these two mega powers fighting each other.
Mm.
We have the pure on the one side and the impure on the other side.
Mm.
And the pure are the white, they're the angels, they're the people, they're the beings that do good and bring good to the world. And then we have the evil powers, which are usually depicted as black and look nasty. They have sometimes like horns and they're the ones that are the evil powers in the world. In what we mentioned before, as the Talmud about the two angels walking us home, the Talmud actually says that we walk home with two angels. One is a good angel and one is an evil angel.
Oh, really?
One is actually an evil angel. But in the end, even the evil angel has to admit and say amen to the blessing of the good angel. That the future Shabbat should also be as nice as this one.
Yeah, interesting. But what has this theme of the demons and so to do with the initial topic of the spies in the land of Canaan? I don't understand that. Where we started from.
Not always. First of all, the part that we had of the spies was a separate part. Now we're going to a new chapter.
Okay.
But because the previous chapter was talking about evening and the sun going down and the night coming about with strong negative powers, so it's somehow connecting with strong negative powers.
We didn't read that about the night, only the initial sentence we read. Or
yes, just the first part we had about the night. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
תחזי, כד יתאר רוח צפון כדן התקבלה כנסת ישראל בשמאלה והתחברו כחדה ושריה בדרוע בתראה וקודשה בריחו עתי להשתעשעה עם צדיקיה דבגינתא דעדן וכדן כל מן דיתאר למלאי באורייתא בהושעתא השתתף בהדה בגין דהי וכל אוכלסין דילה משבחין למלכה אילאה וכל אינין דהשתכחו בתושבחתא דאורייתא כולו כתיבין בבני היכלה ועקרון בשמהון ואילון רשימין דינואר. So we have this tachazeh we have often in Zohar text. We have it in rabbinical text generally, but here it comes often. Come and see. When the north wind stirs, the congregation of Israel is received by the left. They join together, and she rests in her place in the left arm, and the Holy One, blessed be He, comes to delight Himself with the righteous who are in the Garden of Eden. Whoever is awakened to study the Torah during that period is participating because she and all the multitudes praise the High King. All who are present at the praising of the Torah are registered among the inhabitants of the temple and are proclaimed there by their names. These are recovered during the daytime. So, what do we have here? There's a north wind. And when the north wind wakes up or stirs, Knesset Israel, which is translated here, the congregation of Israel, of Israel, is received by the left. The left receives Knesset Israel when the north wind awakens. And they join together, right? And she is, of course, Knesset Israel. Knesset Israel is feminine. And that's where Knesset Israel rests, in the place of the left arm. And then God, Kucha Brichu, he comes and Le'ishta she'ah. Le'ishta she'ah is translated here, comes to delight himself. It could also be something like having a good time with or playing around with. So he is having a good time with the tzaddikim, the righteous one, who are in the Garden of Eden at that time. So whoever studies Torah during that time becomes part of it. Becomes part of that connection between God and the righteous ones in the Garden of Eden.
Mm.
Was that still like the evening or beginning of night or another time?
Seems to be this is talking during the night.
Isn't it from midnight on?
Might be from midnight on, but we don't really have a time frame in it.
Yeah. It's all the time when you study Kabbalah.
So the time after midnight is generally seen by Kabbalists as a very positive time to study Torah,
Mm.
or basically any time after midnight and before the sun comes up
Mm.
is seen as an important time to study Torah. But you could see that whenever this time frame is, Knesset Israel is in a not optimistic state, right? Going to the left is not the optimistic state.
Akiva, who is Knesset Israel, Congregation of Israel? What does it mean?
Knesset Israel means the people of Israel.
Oh, okay.
Just a different way of saying
Yeah.
people of Israel.
Uh-huh.
The Jewish people in rabbinic literature have many names.
Mhm.
And Knesset Israel is just one of them.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so basically, those who study Torah or praise the Torah become more valuable, but the recording of the names of the people only happens during the day, not during the night. So during the day, these are recorded.
Is it a development there that the people of Israel join together and go into the left arm of the Holy One? This is sort of negative side or dealing with negative things. And then the Holy One delights himself with the righteous, and they seem to be integrated there somehow in this delightment of the Holy One, these arriving from the left people. And then things change somehow. Is that correct?
That's what it seems to be, yes.
It's an integration process or development process somehow. Or change.
We have this in the Talmud. I created the evil spirit, and then I created the Torah as a spice against him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what this is trying to say is that even in times that are not the best, the power that the Torah has is to unite that and make that better in the spiritual sense as well.
Mm-hmm.
We even have studying the Torah and the Talmud as a medicine for headache. If somebody has a headache, they should study Torah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So here it seems to be that in this delicate state, when the north wind is awakening, if you use that time of being low to empower yourself with something, then you could use that to get to the right place where it should be. So even though God is busy having a good time with the righteous in Gan Eden, you could be part of that by studying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now we have a bit of a more, I would say, complicated text. תחזה, שמע חד הקדישה, אית בגילופי עטבן, דהו שלטה מפלגו ליליה ואילך, ואינון עטבן כלך סעפה יעוצה מן, למנצפח כליל לון, מם וכמוה למרבה המשרה, נון הווה אסתים להי ולהי, כדן כתרין כלילן הוא וו דשמע קדישה עתקין לי, וסתים מבואה בתר דולידת פתיחה, הווה בחד רשע דפיתחה. So now we are going into, I would say, something very typical Kabbalistically, where we have unexplained combinations of letters that present something godly. There is a holy name of carved letters that rules from midnight onward. It is of these letters, Kaf Lamed, Chaf Sofit, Samach Ayin, and further. And all these letters are included in them. We have the Mem, was explained in accordance with the secret of for the increase of the realm. Nun was hiding the one and the other. For when the Sfirot were included, the Vav of the holy name restored, it closes up her springs. So here we have this letter gave birth to that letter and how this became. I think that actually goes on. Yes. This will be impossible to make sense of. This is less of a story or message and more of a combination of how the letters are combined and what they mean. I'll just read the last part. This is in 7. הכי התקליפו עטבן ורזה דה בכי תצא למלחמה קרא דכתיב כי יהיה נערה בתולה נער כתיב בתר דיסטלק לליה וצף נהיר כדין ה' סלקה והתקלילת בנהור עילה וכדין ידעת השחר מקומות ידע שחר מקומות לה' והתקלילת בגבי. Thus were the letters engraved. That is the secret meaning in the portion of Ki Tetzei in the words if a girl that is a virgin, which is spelled ne'ara without hey, right? We had this before that we have kri and ktiv. Sometimes it's written one way, but we speak it out a different way. So it says na'ar. Na'ar means a male young man, and na'ara with a hey is a female. After the night is gone and the morning light shines, the hay ascends and is included in the letter above. Then it is said, and caused day spring to know its place. That was what we started with. Dawn knows the place of the hay, and the ladder is composed in it. So according to this, which one is the fuller word? The word with the hay or with the word without the hay?
Oh, with the hay, I suppose.
With the hay.
Yeah, it seems to be the natural order of the word to have the hay.
Right.
Make it complete.
So when the morning light comes up, that is the more positive state, then it is included in it. So the morning knows the place of the hay. The night doesn't. Oh, here we have an interesting story of Moshe. This is number 8. Tachazeh, Moshe havashimsha uva le'ala'a le'ara amar le kuchabrich Moshe. Kadatenu hore de shimsha itkalil se'ara begavei ashta da'an shimsha heich yikumun kechada shimsha v'se'ara lana hir se'ara ele b'shata de'itkalil shimsha אבל השתא לית אנט יחיל, אי טבעי למדה מינה, שלח לך אנשים לגרמך בגין למינדה. Come and see. Moshe was the aspect of the sun. So the aspect of is added. So basically what the text says, Moshe was the sun. And he wished to enter the land of Israel. Right? Moshe begged God to be able to lead the people into the land of Israel. The Holy One, blessed be He, told him, Moshe, when the sunlight arrives, the moon is included in it, and her quality is invisible. Now you are the sun. And if you enter the land, which is the secret of the moon, how can the sun and the moon stand together if the moon shines only when the sun is gathered in? However, now you cannot enter the land, and if you wish to know about it, send the men, meaning for your sake, so that you shall know. Shlach lecha anashim is something Rashi says right on the spot. He says, I am not, it's an interesting word. It says, it doesn't say shlach anashim, send people. It says shlach lecha anashim, send people for your sake. So what Rashi says right on the spot is, I am not telling you to send people. I am telling you that the land is perfect. But if you think you have to check up on me, or if the people don't trust me enough, I'm allowing you to send the people. So in that sense, shlach lecha means, basically God is telling Moshe, it's on your responsibility. If they mess up, and they mess up, and then they have a big problem, of course. What the Zohar is saying here, Shlach lecha anashim, the people that you send to the land of Canaan to spy on the land, are doing it in order to report back to you so you could know what is going on in the land of Israel. Because you can't go in. But we also have an interesting explanation here why Moshe is not allowed to go in. So Moshe is the sun and the land is the moon. And in order for the moon to shine, the sun has to move back. And this is something I think actually is a very important message for us. In many times, we're sure that we're doing the right thing. We're sure that we should be where we should be in this certain situation, this certain place. But many times, in order to allow other people to shine, we have to move out of the picture. We have to step back. We have to let other people lead the conversation. Humans in general, we have a very interesting mix here between a human being the sun and a land being the moon. It's not two humans here. It's like a different dimension of who's against who here. And among humans, it's kind of a circle between people. No one is the ultimate sun, no one is the ultimate moon. In some situations, we are the sun, in some situations, we are the moon. Mm. And we have to be careful not to overshine on other people, taking away the spotlight from other people. This could be in a family setting, in a work setting, in a community setting. Other people or other ideas are important and useful, even if they are only the moon in this situation. And what God is essentially telling Moshe, although you are the sun, although you are the ultimate light that brings light to the world, in order for the land of Israel to exist, in order for the people to be able to go into the land of Israel, this moon has to shine through your absence, through you dying and not going in with them to the land of Israel. I always try to, when we read general rabbinic literature or ancient texts, I always try to see how this is relevant to us nowadays. Many of these ideas are just interesting. If we talk about demons is an interesting topic, how other cultures portray this concept. But in between, we can often find real interesting texts that we can personally relate to and find what meaning could this bring to us. And Moshe was sacrificing the greatest thing he ever could imagine, right? He liberated the people from Egypt, and it's basically, I don't know if we think about Kabbalistic text, which is often compared to sexual activities. So it's like having the sex without the orgasm, where he could only go through, it's actually not a very good comparison because he's only suffering with them. Mm-hmm. He's only going through the suffering phase with them, but coming to the ultimate goal, what all this suffering was about, he has to die before them. And he is giving up this dream of his to see the land, to go into the land. And he gets to see the land from far, but to go into the land. So he gives up his life in Midian, where he's the son-in-law of a priest, goes back to Egypt, suffers with them there, takes them out of Egypt, suffers with them through the desert, and only to die in the end and not bring them into the land of Israel. And it takes great sacrifice to know, when am I not needed? When do I need to shut up? When do I need to allow other people to shine and be the moon? even if I think that I'm right, even if I think that my ideas are the best. That's our shiur for today. Thank you all. We'll see you
Thank
next
you,
week.
Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you.